Hello and welcome to another episode of Laptop Retrospective, and today I'm bringing you something a little bit different. This is actually a list of the top 5 ThinkPads in my collection that I haven't filmed, that I kinda can't film yet. And I wanted to showcase these to you for a couple of reasons. One, some of you out there might be able to point me in the right direction to finish these projects. And two, I want to let you know that even though the amount of content that I've been producing has gone down a fair bit over the last 9 months, I want you to know that I'm still working on stuff behind the scenes. Things are still happening. I'm going to try and do these in the order that I think would be the easiest to get ready to film. So, number 1 in the collection that I have not yet filmed, but I'm close to, is the IBM WorkPad. Now, this is the IBM WorkPad Z50, but it is often included with ThinkPad lists because it has pretty much all the ThinkPad DNA that you'd expect to see. Black box, keyboard with a track point, the buttons, the works. Now, this is 100% functional, came in a box, all of the stuff is there except for one critical piece, and that is the sync cable. Now, the sync cable is absolutely essential to this being of really any value because it needs to talk to a PC to get its the greatest value out of it. Now, you can use the IR blaster that's included in this, and the IR blaster is on many other ThinkPads. The challenge, of course, is that if you read the manual, the IR blaster will not work until the serial cable has been synchronized to the device. So the port looks like this, and I'll leave a link or a picture of the cable that I found on eBay that's included as a part of another listing for a WorkPad. And you know, I'm interested to film a WorkPad, but I'm not going to buy another WorkPad to film this one. And even though this is the closest in terms of like what physically needs to happen to get this thing filmed and the video done, it's probably also one of the most challenging ones on this list because the cable is going to be practically impossible to find on its own, let alone find one at all. These machines are exceptionally rare. I'm very, very thankful for Tommy to send me this one to kind of safekeep in the collection and to document. It's just really unfortunate that that cable was lost along the way. Everything else is there, but I'm still waiting on that cable. If you have any leads on a cable, or if you think that you might know more about how we could reverse engineer something, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Love to hear from you. I'd also love to hear if you've even used one of these before, because they're pretty uncommon. Okay, next one on the list. All right, so the next one on the list I've actually talked about with David Hill on the channel, and that is the IBM TransNote. Now, I've actually filmed this. However, I want to get a proper filming of it, and that means I need to get this display working. Now, when I bought this thing, the display was sort of kind of working, and because I had to use a friend in the States to ship this to, because the person that's selling this wasn't going to ship to Canada, they actually had it working before it shipped to me. But however, by the time it got to me, the screen wasn't working at all. So what I did years ago now is I plugged in a monitor to the VGA port and I filmed the device running with the screen essentially dead using an external monitor, which, I don't know. Like, that video I could recut and I could publish, but part of me really wants to get this screen working. Now, there's been notorious issues with the era of this device. It could be a capacitor, it could be a backlight. I don't 100% know exactly what's wrong. And these things are not fun to take apart. I've done a partial disassembly of this once, and it just goes to show how much effort that David Hill and John Caritas put into making this thing work. I haven't turned it on in a while, so I don't know what state it's in, if it'll even start anymore at all. But this one is close if I had the knowledge and the skills, which I admit I do not. There are a handful of people that might be able to help me with this, but again, it has to do with their time and availability, and they're also trying to help me with some other projects as well. And I feel really, really bad about just adding more projects to the people that are helping me out of the goodness of their own heart, and obviously for the preservation work. So, in short, there's an issue with the display on this one that stops it from being a great video, although I could certainly recut the footage that I had taken with the screen not working. It's just not the way I wanted to do things. But everything else works, and it's in great shape otherwise, which is really, really cool. So that's where I am with the TransNote project. So the next one we have up is no stranger to the channel, and that is the ThinkPad 701C. Now, I have two of these, and neither one of them work. Not fully anyway. So there's a couple challenges with this project. So the first 701C that I have is in pieces at a friend's house because we were trying to resurrect it and honestly just learn a lot about what's going on the inside of these things. And we were starting that work well before Polymat came along and documented everything. We just haven't got around to using all of that fantastic documentation that was created to get these machines up and running. Now, the challenge with 701Cs is that you definitely gamble if you're buying them non-functional or incomplete. And there's also a significant cost difference. Like if you go on to eBay, a complete one of these, even in medium to good condition, is anywhere from like $1,500 to $2,000. They're quite rare, but even though they're not the rarest thing that I've shown you or I'm going to show you, because of their desirability, that increases their value overall. So this one does work, except the screen has delaminated or vinegared. So I either need to do one of two things. I either need to replace the screen, or I need to have someone that knows how to do LCD polarizer replacement work, essentially repair the screen, because I believe that can be done. The other thing, of course, is that very often when you buy these, there are no accessories with them. So that means the port replicator and the floppy drive are missing. And I've seen floppy drives for sale. They're usually about 150 Canadian plus. Port replicators are very, very scarce. And that makes sense because these were never meant to be separated from the computer. They weren't accessories you bought afterward. They were accessories included with the purchase at the time that you bought the machine new. So finding those things separately and finding them at a good price, and you don't even know if they work or not, makes this a very challenging project. Thankfully, it still boots, the keyboard still works. The plastics in the lid are in a state of degradation, which is what you'd expect from a computer that's over 30 years old now. And unfortunately, outside of Polymat's preservation, you're probably not going to find very many of these in immaculate shape outside of like the Museum of Modern Art, where one of these actually is. So I've got a lot of 701C, well, I shouldn't say a lot. I have some 701C content on the channel. I actually did film some B-roll while the screen was still working. So I could theoretically use that B-roll for all it's worth to produce the video. I'm just hoping for a little more, and because of that, this project is just going to sit for a little while longer. I think I got the first 701C, gosh, maybe in 2021. So this is a project that parts of it I've sat on for many, many, many years, at least in terms of like YouTube timeline. I did produce the Project Monarch video, which was kind of like the history behind the 701C, and I'm mostly happy with how that came out. There was one small, well, I shouldn't say it's a small omission, but Richard Sapper's work on this is not as well documented outside of the books and his website, precisely what he did in terms of the design. The books on ThinkPad loosely mention his connection to this machine, but obviously he was one of the designers along with Sam and John. So yeah, his omission from that was a bit of an oops. But if I produce any future content on the 701C, I'll make sure to put that on the record. Anyway, that's it for this guy. So that brings us down to our last two. All right, so these next two are pretty rare, or at least they would be. And if you've followed me on YouTube, you might see in the community notes that I thought I had this machine, and then it turns out I didn't. So here's what I mean by that. What I am trying to track down is the ThinkPad that has the removable back display that you could put on an overhead projector. I have access to an overhead projector. I thought it'd be really cool to film that working, so I bought this. And the reason I bought this is on the bottom here, you can see it says 755 CV. And the V is the important letter because that denoted that the bezel of the screen came off and you could put it on an overhead projector. Unfortunately, and this is partly my fault, I didn't study the photographs closely enough to recognize that this bezel doesn't actually come off. And then I realized that this machine had actually gone to the service depot. And there's evidence of that on the inside that this has been serviced. So, serviceable used part. So in other words, this thing has been Frankensteined. So, it's not actually what it says it is. And I have two of these 755s. Neither of them fully function. I've tried to do some swap gnostics to get them working. It's going to be quite an ordeal, and I just haven't had the time to sit down and do it. The 755 CV or the 755 CDV, both of them have theoretically the display that pops off. They're exceptionally rare. I think I've maybe seen one for sale the entire time I've ran the YouTube channel. I was really curious about them when I talked to Ted Selker, who introduced me to the concept. There's a great picture of him in a magazine, I think, with him in an overhead. And it was just like, wow, that would be really cool to film. Unfortunately, those dreams were dashed when this showed up, and I realized that it had been a serviced machine and it wasn't going to have the parts. So there is no real path forward on that one. But maybe one day I'll get lucky and find either the lid by itself and be able to retrofit it to a 755, because that appears to be a thing that you can do, and just kind of fix all that up. Now this last one, I suspect will never be completed. And it's this guy right here. And this is indeed a ThinkPad, although it was also released under another name, or at least a near identical computer, but it does have the ThinkPad IBM branding. And over here in this corner, you'll notice it says Micro BJ Printer by Canon. Yeah, so this is the ThinkPad 555, which was a Japanese-only machine, I think, and it has a built-in inkjet printer. Now this thing is in really rough shape. The only thing that works is the motor in the printer part. The screen is completely trashed. Yeah, completely trashed. And I cannot get this thing to boot, so I can't imagine what it looks like on the inside. It's probably a mess. The case is not in good shape. There are plastics missing everywhere, and lots of cracks. However, for a person that kind of has his own little tiny collection and wants to document this stuff, an example of this is better than no example of this. And it's kind of funny because I remember seeing some pictures, I think it was in ThinkPads 30th anniversary celebrations, where there were like 701Cs that had screens that looked like this, but they still had them out on display. And that kind of helped reassure me, and it's like, yeah, some of these are, this may be the best example that I ever see in person. For some people, it may be the only example they ever see in person. Did you know that ThinkPad had a printer built inside of a laptop, essentially pre-TrackPoint? Some of you watching this video probably didn't know any of that. So there's value to this, even though it is a broken hunk of plastic. Oh, I apologize. It's the 550BJ, not the 555, as I stated earlier. Anyway, this is a project and a half that is well beyond my time and skill. So this will probably not make it into a traditional video on one of these things, if ever. I suspect it will be more of a case of whatever information I can dig up on this, and I'll put it into a shorter video. It's going to be a bit of a challenge because it's a Japanese exclusive machine and how early it is in the life cycle of ThinkPad. Sources online are already going to be tough. Sources online that I will be able to roughly translate using, digital tools from Japanese to English will be another hurdle. So unless I run into some historical figures that worked on ThinkPad that are able to speak to me and tell me more about this specific machine, it's going to be some of the earlier folks. This is probably going to be one of the greatest challenges to make into a full video. However, I thought it was really, really important to, have it for the sake of having it and trying to find a way somehow to share it. And I haven't quite decided what that is. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the top 5 ThinkPads that I have in my collection that are going to be difficult or almost impossible to film. If you have any questions about them, or if you have any ideas that you want to share with me, feel free to hit me up down in the comments below. You can contact me directly on the About page. You can find my email address there. You can go to my website and fill out the contact form. There's lots of different ways you can track me down on social media. Links will be in the description. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you for watching the channel now for, gosh, I think I've been doing this for 8 years, 7, 8 years. It's been a huge ride. Loved every minute of it. And yeah, hopefully you found this interesting. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.